Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. For those of you that don't know, I've been reading fanfiction for 15 plus years, and my fanfiction.net account's favorite list got a little bloated with over 1,200 stories. So I decided to go back and reread all of them and see if they still deserve to stay on my list. So let's dive in. We got a bunch of stories here that I've reread. Sorry for taking like a week off. I didn't really I was just didn't realize it'd been so long since I posted a video. But yeah, let's get in. Starting with Spiraling Destiny by Goojila, and this is a Persona 3 retelling fanfic where basically it's has the main thing is this has two protagonists with one who seems to know a lot about what's going on and it doesn't seem to be telling the other. So yeah, like it's a time travel ish fic. No, it's a time travel fic, but instead of following the time traveler, we follow the other protagonist. So Persona 3, like many of the Persona games later on, had the ability for you to choose which if you wanted a male or female protagonist. So in this one, what we're doing is we're following the female protagonist through her first time doing this. But Minato, after having completed and like basically finished his journey, has come back in time and is now existing at the during her journey as well. Um, it's there's some fun, but there's a couple problems with the story. One of it where it's written again like a TV. It's written like a TV show, so mainly all we see is just actions and dialogue, and we don't get any inner monologues or thoughts and stuff. Which it kind of works. Like it's sort of like watching the Let's Play and stuff, but considering Persona especially is a lot about their characters' thoughts and feelings and stuff, and that the fact that this story doesn't dive into their inner workings of the characters makes it feel like it's just missing a lot of what should be there for a Persona fic. And overall, I think on the other hand, like it's okay, but the story's not complete, and then its lack of depth also just makes it feel just not that satisfying, especially since like it doesn't even get to the point where Minato actually becomes more of an active player, changing anything. So it doesn't. It's nothing that you really need to look out for. It's like a perfectly serviceable thing that just never finished. It's gonna fall off my list. Next is Takahata Naruto by Monkeys Ate My Sister. And this is a Naruto fic where when Naruto is just a little kid, the Akatsuki end up attacking Konoha for him, and so he runs away and ends up getting sent to Mahora and adopted by Takamichi, Mahora from Nagima. And basically, this is the, traditional lament of most incomplete fics, where it's a good idea and a decent foundation, but it ends before it does anything. This only gets two chapters in, nothing really happens. There's a bunch of setup, a lot of characters get introduced, and we get to see a bunch of dynamics that would be really fun to progress with. But nothing, it just ends, nothing happens, and we just have a prologue with a bunch of funny moments. It's not really satisfying on its own, and it's going to fall off my list. Right. Next story is Titans Phantom by rinofmidnight. And this is a Teen Titans, the show from early 2000s, crossover with Danny Phantom. This takes place in the Danny Phantom timeline. This takes place after the Nasty Burger explosion, but instead of everybody getting away, here Danny's whole family dies, and he basically hates the hero life, wants to give it up, and then moves to Jump City right at the start of the Teen Titans canon. And what this ends up being as a story, for the early parts at least, is basically just a retelling of each episode with small amounts of Danny stumbling over the Teen Titans at various moments of the episodes and basically yelling at them for being stupid or helping them out and saving their asses while trying to push them away and keep them not socialize with them in any way. It ends up making the Titans really interested in him, and we eventually see a lot more of Danny, and like his ghost baddies start coming into play, and plot lines become more interesting, and it goes through a lot of the show. And though it's unfinished, it goes through multiple seasons of the show, so there's a lot there. If you like Teen Titans and if you like Danny Phantom at all, I think you will enjoy this crossover. I think it blends them well enough, especially with like more. You have their go-lucky pluckiness, and then you have Danny's world weariness as a nice mixture that goes together really well. It's gonna stay on my list, and if you like either of those shows, I think you'll like this fic. Next is Harry Potter and the Only Thing by Boots86. And this is another Harry Potter time travel fic for the multitude that are on my list. Bonus points for including 2 large harems and tons of people that come back. The thing is, like, this story is 140,000 words. And it's an incomplete story that is all set up. It's kind of, when you get to that amount of words, it kind of gets ridiculous. But yeah, it's all build up and planning and setup and no execution. Like, timeline wise, I think it takes place over the course of like a week after they get back, but nothing happens in that week. It's just them preparing for their journey. It doesn't even get the whole group of characters together. Like, they still have, I think, like 2 or 3 more people that they were like, oh, we got to get back their memories so they can join our collective and stuff. And it's just a shit ton of exposition about the various rituals and items that Harry's created, or backstories of the characters in the future, and just, it doesn't move forward. It doesn't really do anything. It's nothing you need to see. It's going to fall off my list. It's just a lot of jogging in place. Alright, moving on. Another story is Consequences by Advent of Shadows. And this is a Naruto crossover that is... not Naruto crossover. Oh my god, I'm just reading these. So this is it's a Naruto fic. That's another time travel fic. And it's also, again, more serious time travel stuff. In this one, it's during Naruto's hypothetical battle at the end of like canon with Madara. This was, I believe, before canon actually finished. So, but during Naruto's battle with Madara, he basically sends him back to 10 years before he was born, and so from there we see him basically go become a new ninja of the village, become friends with his father, become a hero of the Third Shinobi War, and then eventually become the 5th Hokage. The thing this reminded me most of, was the first Captain America movie, at least in structure, because it basically is like, this big kid ends up in a new place. Aside from the whole super serum thing, it's basically, kid goes to a new place, joins war, and then just montages of battles where he does stuff and becomes more and more respected, and then eventually saves the day. That's basically the plot of this whole story. The difference is the heartfelt and emotional moments that are in the movie that make you really connect with Steve and Peggy and stuff. They don't really seem to exist here. Harry, Naruto does have a girlfriend, and they do end up having a relationship and everything, but it doesn't feel really. I don't feel like they are really deeply connected, or I don't care about them. Maybe they are, and there are 3 lines or 2 scenes that are here show that they're so deeply in love, but it doesn't feel that way to me. And because the emotional moments are absent, there's nothing to really draw us in or make us care about this Naruto and his scene, because it just shows a strong guy going around killing a bunch of people in a war. Okay, fine, whatever. It's just dull and feels more like Instead of like the Captain America movie we got, it feels more as if that like people made that movie as a propaganda piece just to show how cool this soldier is and how you should fight for your country and stuff, while doing nothing to tell us about who he was as a person. So it just wasn't interesting to me, and it's gonna fall off my list. Alright. Following that, we got a single joke story over here with But It's Just a Painting by Freaky Deaky01. Much less serious, again, like less than 1,000 words. It's a single scene joke. That's the scene where Harry first shows up. It's a Harry Potter fic, so again, scene where Harry first shows up to number 12 Grimmauld Place and gets yelled at by Sirius's mom and sees everybody cowering away and is like, why are you so afraid? She's just a painting, and just yells at her and curses her a lot. Like, it's not nothing really. It's just a loud curse-filled rant about how ugly and old that woman is. If you find that funny, maybe you'll enjoy it, but you can skip this without worry, and it's gonna fall off my list. Alright. Next is more time travel shenanigans. There's a lot of that in this video. More Harry Potter time travel, actually. This one's funnier than the previous ones. Basically, Harry, time loops from the end of the fourth book when they were doing the priori and contentum stuff, and this story is more in line with the immortal time loops stories instead of a traditional time travel story, where he's constantly looping. Like, whenever he dies, he's showing up in various points in his timeline, and it's also rather than a full story that's constantly like following, it's just a collection of scenes from his various loops. The one difference there though is there is actually he can actually go past the initial point where he started. Like, he starts time looping at the end of the fourth book. One of the loops ends up taking him into the fifth book and starting him, like, one of the loops ends up starting in the fifth book, and so he's like confused and trying to catch up. There's actually a plot and like a way to actually feasibly end the loops that gets brought up, but I mean, the story's incomplete, so it doesn't actually materialize, but that also sets it apart. And the other thing that sets it apart is all these loops are actually told in chronological order, in the sense that we are seeing loop like 1, then loop 2, then loop 700, and then loop 800. There's no instance like in the stuff where it's like loop 643 and then loop 3 and then going back and forth. No, it's chronological, so you're seeing a progression of how Harry is growing in both his powers and skills and his attitude towards the loops and not giving a fuck, and everything feels like, okay, this is why he's acting like this. Like the immortal time loops, the scenes are all there's a lot of just short scenes for each loop, which means we get to the funny jokes really quick, and you get a bunch of laughs with little context. While it's not as varied because it doesn't really cross over with anything, it just stays in the main Harry Potter storyline, I still had a lot of fun with this collection, even though I wish the plot had continued. I think it's really enjoyable, and it's going to stay on my list. I don't know if I actually said the title. This story is Not Again by JBH14. Sorry. And now for the last story of this bunch. You want to guess what the main plot is? Yeah, it's a time travel story. Woo! This one's called Naruto Uzumaki and the Deus Ex Machina no Jutsu by Dire Squirrel. And the name should kind of tell you, yeah, this isn't one to take seriously. This one is only one chapter. You can treat it as a one-shot even though it's not written as such. It is written as if it was meant to be continued, but it's really just a whole bunch of stupidity that's super fun and makes fun of all the cliches that happen in time travel fics. And though it, again, only really gets as far as pointing at the cliches and being like, look at this, like, this is something that happens all the time, isn't that stupid? And then moves on. Still, it was like really short, really funny, even those are in like I said, even though it's basically just a prologue of a story that never materializes, I found it to be really enjoyable. And honestly, even as just a one shot, and you could just there's enough here that you could just imagine how stupid these fucking things would have gone moving forward, and it's just really fun. I had a lot of fun with this short tale, and it's gonna stay on my list. And there we have it, a bunch more stories that if you want to see any of them, links, the names and links are in the description down below, as well as a link to a playlist of all of these videos so you can see if my journey from the beginning, or a forum where I post this in just pure text format, and as well as my fanfiction.net profile. So if you want to check out any of those things, feel free to check it out in the description. Please leave a like or comment if you enjoyed what you saw or what I'm doing. Subscribe if you want to get notified when I keep posting these. I swear, I just messed up. I tried to do these once a week. I might do another one just later this week just to catch up. I still got a shit ton more. I'm only at 530 of the 1260 that I had on my list. So at this rate, I'm still going to be doing this for another at least 2 years. So please join me on my journey. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.